Tall-Tale Ponies. Prologue. How long had Lady Blue Ribbon been at this? She'd lost track by now, as her pen furiously scribbled into the empty paper, writing yet another letter to her mentor and queen. She knew that she was in a weird place here. Studying the village of Hollow Hills and its residents had been a chore, but at the same time she'd made a lot of friends along the way. Perhaps in that respect, this wasn't as bad of a job. Heck, she even had her dragon boyfriend Havoc living with her. Though he rarely invaded her work time, he was a great source of comfort and warmth when the day's tasks were done. Speaking of said tasks, she looked over to see one such task that she was doing her utmost to put off until later. Well, she couldn't leave it alone forever. No, she focused on her current task instead. Picking up the letter, she saw the sloppy hoof writing of her good friend Bubbles, the male mare extraordinaire, or well, the big sister of male mares at least. Opening the letter, she read it to herself in relative silence. Only the sounds of the crackling fireplace were there to remind her of the outside world. Her office was cluttered beyond belief, though, so it probably wasn't the safest fireplace to be keeping on. Dear Lady Blue, today's been fun. Spending time with the wife is always great, and the job's going well. I know you asked a few of us here to send weekly letters, but there's not always something fun going on. I guess, though, if I had to pick something, it would be that today I actually lost my eye patch. I almost had to stay home from work because of it. It was a beautiful morning, and the sun was shining, the birds were birding, and the muffins were eaten by Bubbles, because that was their place in the world, in her tummy. In fact, breakfast had been so good that before Carrot Cake had given her a kiss and left on her own to go out and help the nearby farm for the day, Bubbles was able to fully relax. She felt that she was missing something, though. She was going to start her shift delivering a few packages this afternoon. She got up from the table to go to the nearby stand and grab her hat. It was the only thing she really had to wear for her uniform, and given that she was a Pegasus with not the best flying skills in the world, it fell off her head a lot. Why she was a poor flyer had nothing to do with actual skill, or her slightly rounder barrel. She was plenty fluffy and liked it. No, it was her eye. Her left eye had an issue. It didn't look in the same direction as her other eye most of the time. This messed with her sense of balance in the air really badly. So that was why she always wore an eye patch. Well, that and she just didn't like ponies staring at her. Oh. She reached up to touch her face and realized with horror she wasn't wearing her eye patch. Carrot hadn't said anything about it at all today. Well, she never did. Carrot liked to see both of her eyes, that lovable wife of hers being kind and loving, and not at all useful for hiding her shame. Bubbles had to find it, or she may have to stay home. Even if she did her best to ignore the awkward feeling, she was a danger in air without her eye patch. Flying into people's windows was not as fun as the crows make it seem, so she began her hunt. She looked in their bedroom. Though there were plenty of dresses and clothing that were rarely used, she could not find her eye patch. She looked under the bed and found a friendly spider. She would let Carrot deal with that later. Still no eye patch. In their closet, just boxes and winter clothing. No eye patch. Okay, their bedroom was a total failure. She went out and started looking in the bathroom. Perhaps she left it in here after her bath last night. Aside from realizing that the drain was covered in fur, there was nothing in here for her. Next, she tried the kitchen. Nothing in the cabinets, or the drawers, or even the fridge. Not that she expected it to be there, but you never know. She'd put weirder things in the fridge by mistake before. Once she realized she was completely helpless, when her eye patch vanished entirely, she lowered herself to the floor and laid her head down. She was going to disappoint so many ponies if she couldn't deliver their packages today. Maybe she could just do her route on hoof. It would take a lot longer, but she could at least make sure most of the packages were delivered today. The door opened and she looked over to see the orange mare with curly green hair trot in. Carrot Cake took one look at her and trotted over in a hurry. Bubbles, what's wrong? Did you get sick from all the muffins? Oh no, this is all my fault. I'm such a horrible wife. Bubbles rolled her eyes. One of them rolled in the opposite direction. No, you're perfect. I'm the failure. I lost my eye patch, and so I'll have to do my entire delivery route on hoof today. Carrot sat down and laughed. Oh, is that all? She pointed to the table right next to the plate of muffins. That wouldn't happen to be your eye patch now, would it, my love? Bubbles shot upright and galloped to the table. It was. She grabbed it and quickly put it on before looking back at Carrot. You're the best mare in the whole world. Well, I try, she giggled. Now you better hurry or you might be late from tardiness rather than flying problems. Bubbles nodded, grabbed her Melmare hat, and left out the door. She could already tell today was going to be a good day. She'd have to write about this to tell Blue later. She might get a kick out of it. Lady Blue finished the letter, still laughing to herself about how silly that must have been. The one place that was the most logical, and the last one for Bubbles to look. The table, right next to where the plate of muffins she'd been eating the entire time. Oh, that silly pony. She was right. This was a good letter. Lady Blue looked back at the letter she was writing to beg Queen Rainbow to let her come home and leave this place. For a moment she just sat there. Her heart was heavy with the request. Even if Queen Rainbow would simply deny it yet again, there was a principle here. Blue's horn lit up with a purple light. She lifted the letter up and tossed it into the fireplace, letting it burn. No, she'd be more than happy to stay here a little longer. She had good friends here, after all.